Yo, welcome back to the Boolin podcast where we talk about random shit that you might like. Today, I always say this, I always say we have a special guest, but this one's very special to me. He's my mentor, my role model, and I definitely am super excited for this episode, and I'm super blessed to have him on this episode with us. So we got Marshaun Dunigan. What's going on, man? Thank
What's
you for
up,
hopping
man?
on.
What's up, man? It's a pleasure. I appreciate you guys inviting me on. Definitely
Sure.
excited.
Yeah, we got a
So,
whole
what?
bunch of stuff to talk about. But
Yeah.
yeah,
So, what shit we talking about today? Let's hear it.
I wanna know more about you, your story, and I know we got into the conversation, and when I told you that if you could hop on the podcast, you're explaining to me how you got to credit, because I know you do credit repairing and stuff like that, and you brought me along on your journey. But I want to get into that story and just how you got started with everything.
It's a great question, by the way. Thank you. So yeah, I'm just a little bit into my life and credit and as it pertains to the impact that I've had on so many others in the community and consistently growing. I initially started back doing credit in 2008. Uh, and at that time, I don't know if you guys remember, but that's when we had the first housing market crash, right?
Yeah, I remember
Mm.
that.
And everybody's in the cluster fucking they're like, oh, what are we gonna do? And at this very moment, um, things were I was in the midst of looking for housing for my wife. And at this time that I'm in my first marriage. And we were looking uh, to get a house because, of course, we wanted to take advantage of the drop. You know what I mean? So everybody was selling houses with dirt cheap, and it's like, oh, this is a great time. And lo and behold, um, my that marriage, my first marriage, did not work. So credit really became a factor at that moment because it was ideal in anything I needed to purchase, right? And I hadn't thought about it because I was so used to doing everything with cash. I was a supervisor for the water department in the city, and I had no need to like use credit for anything. You know what I mean? So I just paid cash for everything, and we were renting, so it's like, well, what do I need it for? Um, Shortly after that, my divorce it started, and after it started, it's like, okay, well, I really need to like tap into myself and get into this point when I'm rebuilding who I am as an individual, and I wanted to be strong on all points, and with credit being included. So I ended up, doing some research, and it was credit is something that everyone can do. I'm not any more knowledgeable than anybody on this podcast or anyone listening. But we all pay for the pleasure of convenience, right? So things that we don't know about, things that we don't have the time to uh, search or research or dig, we would rather have someone else. We would rather pay someone else to do it because we just don't know. And that's what happened. So I ended up starting to reach out to a company, and I won't shame this company, but it is a very well known company, and I ended up signing up for a monthly subscription to this company, and I noticed that when I did it, I would only see results when I made complaints about leaving the company, right? So it was just like when I first started, I probably had three or four things removed, and I was like super excited, and that was like a selling point or a tactic to keep me locked in. But they were like squeezing $100 out of me every month. And when I would like I said, make sure that I was going to leave or express that, their retention team would do everything they could to keep me. And at that point, I'm like, oh, so it's a game. Like you guys really could have taken the time to apply the necessary steps to get me done, but you didn't. So I ended up, executing or I'm sorry, exiting that company. And when I did, I started digging myself. I started doing the research and started understanding there's and the laws that pertain to credit and all of the things that creditors don't do and the laws they're supposed to follow and collection agencies and how bankruptcies work. And I sent out my first round of letters. And when I out of my first round of letters I sent, I probably had 8 items removed. And I was happy as shit. I'm like, oh, I'm on the road, like fuck everybody, I'm straight. And I kept doing it.
Wow.
And more I did it, the more and more I seen a result. And what I did was after I got my credit where I felt it needed to be, um, I then told friends about it with excitement and I started helping them. Well, that turned into a snowball effect, right? So I'm helping them, and this is at this moment, like this is a free situation. I'm not charging anybody for anything, and this happened probably over a course of like 2 years. Like I'm helping people, and people are like praising me, and they turn their lives around, and people can apply for mortgages, and people can get cars, and all this other stuff. I actually made it where two people didn't have to go through bankruptcy because I removed things off the credit because they're trying to qualify for something. And at that moment, I was like, hey man, like this is a thing. You know what I mean? Like I can do this. Not that I mind you, at this very moment when I made the decision to do so, I'm in Detroit, Michigan. I'm a robotics technician. So I'm making roughly like $4,000 or $5,000 every 2 weeks. So I'm straight. You know what I mean? So I'm roughly about $8,000 to $10,000 a month. And the credit repair business was superseding the business of me working a 9 to 5. And I was like, well, what the fuck am I? Why am I still punching the clock? You know what I mean? Like, why am I
Yeah, it's
still in
crazy.
here? And at this, that I mind you, for me to get that 4 to 5 thousand every 2 weeks, I'm working 7 days, 12 hours. So I'm doing 84 hours a week.
Wow.
So I'm doing 84 hours a week. I'm still getting off work or either getting up earlier than normal to repair credit. And then on the way to me going into work, there was literally a post office. Literally, I passed one every day going to work. So I would drop letters off for the clients. And that it kind of made sense. So I got myself into this rhythm. And like I said, I had months where I was just like, I don't even know why I'm still punching the clock. And of course, I had kids, so I wanted to make sure that they had benefits and all these other things. There was a multitude of reasons why I stayed. But the entrepreneur side of me was just like, hey, you have to make a decision and stick to that decision. And I did that. And I took that leap. Last year, we put 47 people in homes who could not qualify. And
Wow.
we're rapidly growing. We're breaking 3 cities right now as we speak. Speaking of which, Andy, we're putting things together where we're getting ready to impact the a couple communities. One of them being the Puerto Rican community because there are a lot of
Mhm.
people who are being taken advantage of when it comes to credit because people don't know about it. They're throwing
Yeah.
all these astronomical prices at people because the people want the result, but they're being effed over because they want the money. And Andy can tell you this. I'm more concerned about the success letter or the success story with someone, telling me, "Hey, we did it, and we couldn't see clear, and it's because of you." I don't care about the money because the money is going to come. So I started Dunnigan Investment Group. Dunnigan Investment Group is a real estate investment company with a internal credit repair team because what we do is we buy, rehab, and flip homes. When we do that, um, we appease to the the market of people who are the less fortunate, if you will, and we try and focus on changing their lives for the better. So, with that being said, I knew that when I started that people wanted to buy a house, but they couldn't buy it. So I then in turn started doing credit repair inside of my company to help those people become homeowners. So that's pretty much the blanket story as it pertains to credit repair and how I got into it and as to why.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, One thing I want to ask is, was it a very hard decision to, like, say, okay, I think it's time to actually let go of my 9 to 5 job and actually take this credit repair into like a full drive? Was that a hard decision to make?
Um, so of course, major decisions like that when you're programmed to believe that you're supposed to wake up, punch a clock for 40 years, work for a company, retire, miss, ask people for vacations and can you have time off? That shit is a repetitive pile of shit. When I seen it for what it's for and how it's structured, I'm making another company all of this money, and the company itself still has a oversight of what I can and can't do. And it for me, it just made sense for me to just jump, and I did it, and I have no regrets in entrepreneurship. Now that I mind you, entrepreneurship is not always just the prettiest thing on the face of the planet. I've had moments where I was just like, I don't know how the fuck I'm gonna pay rent this month.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But you appreciate the grind and the struggle. You know what I mean? Like you appreciate it because it makes you just that much more hard. It makes you go harder. And if you have something that you believe in, you under no circumstance do you allow anybody to tell you can't do it or deter you from your vision, because there is a difference between an entrepreneur and an employee. They cannot, under no circumstance, understand what you see and why you do what you do. So if you have it in your heart and it's something that you want to do, go hard. And for those who do not support you, I can't say this any more softer than I'm about to say it. Fuck them. Like that's just what it is. You know what I mean? And that's
Yep.
just what it is, man. That's what separates us from the others. You know what I mean? Everybody's not meant to be an entrepreneur. Everybody's not meant to be a CEO of a company. And for those who decide to work, like that's cool, but just be the best in that position and what you do. And that's all I got to say about that part.
So, Andy gave me a little bit of a description of what exactly you do, but could you elaborate a little bit on it? I know you like teach people how to do credit repair, and I think you like mentor people as well. But
Yes. Yeah.
could you elaborate a little bit?
Yeah. So Andy is actually, man, such an individual, man. I had the pleasure of meeting Andy for a company that we are actually in process of molding right now called Life. Um, and Life is the acronym for literacy and financial education. This company was created to impact the community, a greater community of people, and to have a mass of employees that will be doing the actual same. Dunigan Investment Group right now operates with 16 employees, and they're kind of scattered between Florida and Michigan. Life was created to be more of a MLM, which is a multi-level marketing agency, to impact a greater amount of people. And we're actually in the process of doing that right now, but we're still impacting people as we operate as in Dunnigan Investment Group. So we teach credit repair. We have every so often I go into um, real estate agencies and I talk to their potential homeowners about credit, what it means, debt to income ratio, what an inquiry is, what a hard inquiry is, what is a soft inquiry, what is a collection, what is an agent, what is a medical bill, and how it's applied to your credit, all the laws that they're supposed to follow in order to put those things on the credit. People are so oblivious to credit, um, and it's a very uh, important thing in your life, especially when you're knocking on the age of like 40. People really don't utilize it because typically this is how it works. You don't know shit about credit, which they should be teaching in schools, right?
Right.
You get 18, you get your first card. You have a $300 card, you fuck it up. You're like, oh, I don't care. I'm gonna go blow it on some whatever, Jordans, whatever. And then you look up when you're 22, 23, and you're like, oh man, I want to go apply for this car, for whatever car. At that time, you're like hot. You want to get the fastest car that you can think about on the face of the planet, which is probably a Hellcat. That, or in this day and age, the kids that I'm starting to pay attention to, which are the Andys, and my eyes are like Teslas, right? So like,
Oh
A-
yeah.
Andy is the
This is
first kid ever that come to me and he was like, I want a fucking Tesla. I'm like, dude, like no
bad idea.
Mustang, no Scat Pack. He's like, no,
Exactly.
I want a
Exactly.
Tesla. I'm like, oh, okay. Like,
No,
I mean, so
this is the wrong
with
way.
that being said, credit comes into play, and we don't think about those things. So, we teach credit early. I'm looking into doing something in the Orlando school circuit where we're like doing a financial education tour. We can talk to kids about credit, have workshops. We teach credit. We actually turn people who are working or who are looking to be the entrepreneur on their own and kind of do the independent marketing agents for Dunning Investment Group, where you're making your own money, you set your own schedule, and we can sit down and have those discussions with people who are interested in furthering their knowledge and impacting a community of people with credit, so we can repair it. And of course, you guys are benefiting off of this financially. Um, as far as me, I have a logistics company. We have a couple ATMs scattered across Florida right now. So between that and the real estate, we do wholesaling as well too. So that's something that I'm getting ready to train Andy on as well too. Is learning how to wholesale real estate properties, commercial and residential. And we just tapped into building gaming trailers and party,
Oh,
and yeah, gaming trailers and party buses. So I'm a huge believer that you should have multiple streams of income, because if one fails or if one gets slow, you still should have a steady stream. So that's what I pride myself around. And the people who are around me who want that knowledge, I invoke them to think different, step out of the box, get away from the monotonous 9 to 5 schedule, and try something different. You know what I mean? And if it doesn't work for you, it doesn't work for you. But you don't need to be uh, 65 like, oh, I should have, or I wish I could have, when you can do it now. You know what I mean? So that's what I do, man. That's what I do. I love impacting people for the greater and changing people's lives, man. That's what I wake up every day for the thirst to do that every day, man. And it won't change. Yeah, it won't
That's
change.
awesome. I'm a little curious. What do you mean by the gaming? You said gaming trailer.
So
That
so
sounds
what
sounds
what
pretty
what
cool.
we do what we do is there are people, and this is I kind of want you to wrap your mind around this. You guys know, like the trailers that you see normally that are closed or enclosed that have um the line equipment in it that they put typically on like on the back of a pickup truck, right?
Oh yeah.
Well, what we're doing, people are buying those brand new, and we're outfitting those for trailers. And what they're doing is we're mounting 50-inch, four 50-inch screens inside of trailers, and they're being outfitted with like PS5s and new Xboxes. And because of COVID, this has been a thing where people are doing this to kind of cut down on uh, the contact, right? So you pull up to a house,
Mm.
they're renting a trailer. You pull up to a house, the kids like jump in, they're renting the trailer for 2 hours, but the kids have this experience where they're like playing the hottest games at a birthday party. Um, and they're in this trailer, like, and it's air conditioned. And I'll send pictures. I know Andy has some, so he can send some
Yeah,
to you
I
guys.
will post
Yeah.
them
Um,
up on the screen.
Send them
yeah,
to me.
yeah. Yeah. So there, people are like, you're renting a trailer. We're pulling up for however long you rent the trailer. The kids have this great gaming experience, and then we're off to the next party. So we're doing that in party buses, and I'll just say that it's a multi-million-dollar a year business. I'll leave it at that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah, it
That's
is. It
very
is,
cool.
man.
I'm sure I had
It
that.
is.
Well, I want to have a question because I know a bunch of like young people or also a lot of people trying to get into entrepreneurship. Um, in this day and age, there's a lot of information out there through YouTube, social media, Facebook. There's a lot of information. How can you detect what's a good information or good what's it called facts around how to get into entrepreneurship? Because there's a lot of, I would say, gurus out there that make a lot of ads on YouTube or everywhere on social media telling them, oh, just sign up for my free course, watch my videos. How do I and watch my video and become like kind of like a rich quick scheme kind of thing? But how can you detect the difference between actual information and kind of like false information?
So that is the thing about entrepreneurship. You have to execute. I cannot explain that to you no other way. If you, my, I always tell people to find out first and foremost what your purpose is here, and then turn that purpose into something that will yield you a monetary value. Me myself, I know my purpose here is to help others, right? And with that, it's going to generate an income. So I don't wake up every day. I don't wake up feeling like I'm going to work. Like I'm just like, oh, I'm touching people's lives, and you know what I mean. Like it's benefiting me to a degree. Credit is something that I decided to do because it does help people. It's very direct. It's nothing that you have to go through a bunch of channels to touch this person. Like you literally have someone's life in your hands, and that's something that I value more than my own. You know what I mean? Like looking to change this person's life for the better is something that I go off of. So the get rich by my sign up for free. We're going to send you the emails and all of this other stuff. Like those things are things that, of course, um, separate the people who are BSing to the people who are actually interested. Um, the best thing that I can tell you to do is do exactly what Andy did, is to find a mentor to latch onto. Not some dude that's talking to you on an infomercial or you just happen to scroll past on Facebook or Instagram. Like get you someone who's in the field of where you want to go and make sure that the relationship is genuine and that person is actually executing on what you're wanting to do, and then make sure you follow that person, man. Like that's the best thing that you can do, because you need a reference point. You need someone that you can call at 11:30 at night because the deal just went bad and you can't figure out why. You can't do that shit to some dude that you just subscribed for 19.99 a month. You know what I mean? So get you a mentor in the field of where you want to go, man, and just make it happen, man. Just make sure the person is genuine, because it's a lot of
Yeah,
people out here who are not. They're very disingenuine. You know what I mean? So once you do that, man, I think that you'll be okay.
that sounds good. That sounds good.
I I know you have multiple companies. My question is, I know I'm gonna be there in that position where I have multiple things that I need to manage and
Mhm.
things like that. How do you manage your time for everything that you do?
So it is. I'm very particular about the people I employ, and if I had a bunch of yous, I would be good, right? So
Let's go.
uh, no, I'm being serious. So
Yeah.
you only I pour into people who want the knowledge and the thirst and the execution of goals to happen, right? I can't want it more than you want it happen, right? So I'm driven by people's own drive. So with that being said, I'm very particular about the people that I put on my team in the position to lead, because they have to be a reflection of who I am when I'm not present. So with that being said, I cannot manage multiple businesses by myself. I have to have a very well placed team in position in order for that to happen. So it's the yous and the wives and all of the people who go hard for me every day, so I can have a bigger impact um, on a greater amount of people, and still have time for myself and to do other things as well. So um, yeah, that's what it takes, man. A good team.
Yeah. I also even want to say, like, you know, you are a mentor to me, but you've become more than mentor to me. You become like a role model. Like I look up to you, and one thing that I really like about you is the way you carry yourself. Like nobody, if just you are what I want to become. You're so humble. You know,
Oh
you're
yeah,
you're not wearing, you know, all these, you know, chain, you know, $100,000 chain or this nice watch that is just straight diamonds and it's just shining, you know, all
right,
over the
right.
place. And you're so humble and you want to help people. And you know, I realized that the first day I met you and I came into your house, you know, you looked around, you said hi to everybody, and then you're like, you're new, um, and you took care of me.
Yeah,
You know, it was like,
yeah.
you know, you're so humble, you're so nice, and you cared. Like, I say it's like I call you Papa D because you truly you care for me like if I was your son,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
and that's amazing, and that's what I love, the genuine love and respect that
No,
you know we both
I
have.
I greatly appreciate that. And I'll never change, man. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, if I have to go out and I have to fit the part, if I'm having a business meeting, I will dress the part. But on a day-to-day basis, like I'm the dude with the basketball shorts and t-shirts on, and I'll have $100,000 in my pocket and you'll never know it. You know what I mean? Like I'm that person. I don't need to be fly and flashy, because if you got to do that, the people that from where I'm from, and don't get me wrong, like where I've come from Detroit, man, Detroit, west side of Detroit. Like I've been raised in the hood, like I'm from the streets. The dudes who have to flash like they have it are typically the ones that don't, right?
Yeah,
Um, and it's a very sad behavior inside of multiple cultures. One of them being the black culture is we go blow money on things that we can't afford to impress people who don't have it, which is the dumbest thing that I could ever see in life before me. You know what I mean?
correct.
So yeah, if you look at Bill Gates or you look at anybody else, in the stature of business, man, they're not walking around with it on like that. And I'm that guy. I've been in dealerships where and this is a credit story, but I went into a dealership when I grabbed my Durango. And I think I told this to you, Andy.
Yeah, I like the
Um,
story.
Yeah, so I went to the dealership. I had on some flip flops, basketball shorts, and t-shirt. And I walk in, and they're like, you know, you can tell, and they kind of like gauging you based off of what you have on, and it's a sad society to for people to judge you based off what you wear. But that is how we have been programmed to understand people, from successful people to who are not successful, right? Based off what you can show.
Yeah.
So I walk in a dealership and I'm looking around and no one's like helping me. I'm like, shit, you know what I mean? So finally, some dude's walking up. He's like, hey man, can I help you? I'm like, yeah, I'm looking at the new Durango, and he's like, oh yeah, it's pretty nice. And I'm like, yeah, I want to test drive it. So he's like, oh, okay, let me get the keys. So he's like, we take the test drive. I like it. Of course, he's in the we're in a car. We're taking his driving. It's kind of engaging me, right? He's like, so what do you do? I'm like, oh, I own my own business. He's like, oh shit, and that's the energy I'm getting from him. He's like,
Yeah.
Okay, cool. How long you been in business? I was like, oh, I've been in business in Florida for now 4 years. He's like, oh, cool. Yeah. So we do the test drive. We get back to the dealership, and he was like, so what you think? I'm like, man, I really like it. He's like, so you may get the paperwork drawn up for you? I was like, yeah. He was like, you got a down payment? I was like, no. He's like, huh? I was like, no, I don't think I'm gonna need one. He's like, well, you got check stub? I was like, from my business? He was like, well, no, we're not from your business. Like, do you work anywhere else? Can you show another source of income? I'm like, I don't think I'm gonna need it. He was like, oh man, okay. Well, let's just do the application and see what happens. He's like, you sure you don't have a down payment? I'm like, nah. And he was like, well, what are you looking at to have monthly? And I was like, I want to stay around 300, 325. He was like, oh, okay. So we run the application. This dude came back like somebody then licked his face, dude. He was like, oh, Mr. Dunigan, we can do whatever you want. I'm like, man, get the fuck out my face. Get out my face,
Oh my
dude.
god.
So I get the Durango, zero down. The payment was $275 a month. You know what I mean?
Wow.
It's just like that. Yeah. So you never judge a book by its cover, man. I've sat in rooms with my mentor is a licensed builder in Detroit, Michigan. I've sat next to people and didn't know who they were until they opened their mouth. I was in a room. I had a Papa John's in Detroit, Michigan, and my mentor was telling me, he's like, hey, we have a meeting at 12 o'clock. Make sure you're here. And when I walked into the meeting, or when I walked in, I was like 15 minutes early. So I get in the room. This guy just, very quietly just comes in the room. He sits down and introduces himself and so on and so forth. And he was like, I'm like, okay. So my mentor walks in the room and he's like, hey, Scott talking to the dude, and they're just talking. I'm like, this is the meeting. And we get to talking, and he was like, hey, oh, I'm sorry, man. I'm Scott, man. I wanted to get a pleasure to meet you because your mentor told me about you. And I was like, oh, so this meeting is for me? He was like, yeah. And I was like, so I'm asking him, like, so what do you do? He's like, I've built Somerset Mall in Michigan. I'm like, whoa, what the fuck? Like, what do you mean? He was a billionaire. I'm like, what you like? He was like, yeah, I built malls, man. I built Aventura Mall in Georgia. I built Somerset Mall. And we just finished up the Mall of Mall of America. I'm like, get the fuck, like, and so you never know who you're rubbing elbows with, who you're talking to. You know what I mean? So, and that's a valuable story that you guys should carry along with you throughout life, because you never know who anybody is. You know what I mean? Especially with this day and age. You know what I mean? Like, it's just crazy.
Damn.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just it's just like those videos you see on YouTube, or like they make fun of, like not make fun of, but like they kind of do like inspirational videos
Oh
where
yeah,
where they
yeah.
show exactly how you explain the car dealership, where it's like a like a regular person dressed really normal, not well standard to like a when you go like well suited up, and there's just another guy in a suit trying to impress his friends. And so
Absolutely.
when they talk about, oh, what's he gonna do for down payment, stuff like that, he goes like, oh, I don't have money. I'm just here to impress my friends. And then while the other guy who's not well suited up for the occasion in a sense, based on how today's standard is, the guy's like, yeah, I'm here. I have all the money I need. I don't need no down payment. I'm gonna pay straight up cash. Da da da. And I'm like, wow, it's literally straight up how these videos are.
Darman.
Yeah. The absolute truth, man.
It's crazy.
Yep.
Well, growing up, was there any influence of you being an entrepreneur, or was it just like you had a different type of mindset that you want to do while growing up?
My neighborhood was my inspiration to get away from the monotonous shit I seen every day. To not punch a clock, not to work a 9 to 5, to do something different, to go. I'm the person that goes against the grain. I'm the person that has always went left when everybody went right. To try, you know what I mean? To try something different, not to follow a certain class of people, to test theories, to be adventurous and try shit. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But I never wanted to be that person that was just like, oh, well, I wonder what happened if. I never wanted to be that person, so I try stuff. And if it doesn't work, then it doesn't work. But I like running test markets on things and trying things and getting results and running numbers, to get data back to me to figure out how we can improve on things. Like, I'm that person. And that is what separates me from everybody else. It is. So I thrive to I thrive to be different. And then I had kids early, man. So, I had people looking up to me when I couldn't be responsible for myself. I had to be responsible for somebody else. So that was also a staple in my mind that made me want to do things different.
Being a little more personal, what made you want to leave Detroit and come to Florida?
Have you been to Detroit?
Nope. But I mean, why Florida and specifically?
So initially, my actual purpose, initially I was dating someone here. So let me say that. So my initial want was to leave Michigan and do things different, right? And don't get me wrong, I love my city. It's just the generation of people who are very active in the space of the city have exceeded structure, if that makes any sense, right? So you have to do things different. Like, there is the respect level from teenagers to adults has diminished greatly. You know what I mean? Like, you can't even. I come from I come from a time where my neighbors could whoop my ass if I was doing something, right? I'm doing something wrong, like the neighbor across the street, come here. And like, I was like, I had to go be respectful enough to go over there and get my ass whooped. And then, now you go home and tell your mama so she could whoop my ass too. Like, I come from that era. You know what I
My
mean?
God. Yeah.
So with that being said, like, you do that now and you pop out for one of these kids now, man, you have to be ready to shoot somebody's kid because you don't know what's gonna happen. And that thing is very real. It's a reality in Michigan right now. It's in Detroit more so. So with me seeing the decline in certain things, it pushed me to want better for my kids and for myself. So at the time I was dating somebody, me and she stayed here, and my want to leave the city superseded the relationship, because if the relationship failed, I wanted to make sure the decision that I made to leave Michigan was a sound decision within myself. So I made the move. Needless to say, the relationship didn't work. Me and that individual are still cool, but my want to leave the city worked out for the better. So that's why I decided Florida.
This might
And
be oh, go ahead, Chris. Go ahead.
Say it again.
you could go.
Uh, well, this is a quick question, anyways. But this might be a stupid question. But do you miss Detroit at all, or Michigan?
So I'm actually back and forth relatively often in Michigan. My real estate deals are in Michigan. So I'm still there. I still operate there. I still have business there. So it's not like I haven't been to visit. I visit relatively often.
Okay. Just curious.
Yeah.
I have relatives that live in close to Detroit, but not in Detroit.
Okay.
But I'm
Okay.
just curious.
Okay. Understood.
And Andy told me that you're planning to build a house that's like 10,000 square feet.
I am. I am. So we are looking to do 10,000 square feet, 14 bedrooms,
Oh,
12 bathrooms.
Wow.
Yeah. Study, library, gun range, bowling alley, theater. Yeah.
Something
Yeah.
small.
Yeah. 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 And
A
I'm
gun
actually
range.
I'm actually putting Andy in a position to actually execute the same. And it doesn't have to be the 10,000 square feet, but I am putting him in a position where he will be able to acquire his own land and build his own house from the ground up. We have to do things different if we want things different. So With that being said, when Andy came to me talking to me about the house, he was just like, "Hey, pops, man, I just want to buy a house, man. I just want to, um, I want to just be a homeowner, man, and just kind of do things." And when Andy left from, this meeting that we had, he was just like a whole different person. And I do that because I like to change people's perspective, right? Because we are around people who we get information from, and they can only give us the information as much as they allow their mind to get to. So when he comes to me and I say, "Hey, why don't you think about things this way?" He walks away like, inspired. And that's my job as his mentor. My job is to inspire him to think different and be different and step outside of the box. So when I had the meeting with him and I told him what I was doing and then told him he could do the very same, it changed his perspective. So now I'm more excited about me watching Andy cut the ribbon on his property more than I'm excited about building my own property because I've impacted somebody for, you know what I mean? And that's if we could do that with 5 people closest to us, man, we would change the whole world literally. And that's just what I'm looking to do.
It's awesome.
I know. Me and my brother were having a conversation earlier, and we are talking about like how do you like wake up every day and just like you're so positive, you feel good, and you're ready to take the day down or just take over. And I was just like, look, man, like the reason why I'm always so high, like so energetic and full of life is because first of all, just the conversations that me and you have alone already gets me just inspired and ready to go with the potential that I have. And you see a lot of potential in me, and I can't, I have to exceed that expectation of how you see me and what I'm able to do. So that gets me up every day, just blessed and just thanking God for another beautiful day. Like how can you give, what advice would you give to somebody who probably doesn't have, like if someone didn't have someone like you in their life, what advice can you give them?
To call me because I'm not to call to fuck. I will leave my email, whatever, because I'm looking to inspire people who need inspiration, man. But once again, that's one of those things that you have to want it more than I want you to have it. You know what I mean? So, listening
Right.
to your goals and you have to be in a space where you want to execute. You want to get away from the monotonous shit that you've been going through. You want to change your position in life. Um, those people who want it and those people who do it are two different class of people. So just get a mentor, man. Like I said, find somebody who's already doing it, latch onto them, um and get information and actually execute the information that you're getting. Like, and I was talking to you about this when you were at the house last time. Like, people look for all these iconic people to give them direction, and they'll people will literally go through Amazon or go to a bookstore and spend literally hundreds of dollars a year on self-help books and read all this shit and will not execute nothing, right? So you
Oh
got
yeah.
the Gary V's and you got all of these other people, Grant Cardone, all these people
Oh,
who are giving you this insight, and at the end of the book, like, it tells you have to execute. That's the biggest thing that you have to do. Like, people are so scared of failure and making mistakes, but if you don't make the mistake, then you can't grow from it. So that's where you separate your class of people. Like, if you make a mistake at work, it's just like, oh, well, I'm still on the clock, so fuck it. You know what I mean? If you're an entrepreneur, it's like, I made a mistake. That
yeah.
shit cost me 1,500, but I'm going to still keep going. Like, you have to be willing to fail, and people don't want to do that. People don't want to fail. So find you someone if you want to lessen your chances of failing. Um, get a mentor in your space where you're trying to go and learn from them. That's how you lessen the failure.
I know that what's it called? Every time Andy comes from your house, he's so inspiring and like he's so inspired. He's telling me like what I learned today, like this, like Marshaun, oh my God, like he has taught me so much. And I leash on that aspiration just because my brother is one of the like great, I'm literally one of the greatest person I've ever met in my life. He is always hardworking. He does whatever he can to like exceed those expectations that anybody puts on him. Someone puts an expectation on him, he goes beyond that. And for me to see that from my brother, always working his hard, even if it's weightlifting, even if it's on entrepreneurship, even if it's on his own personal life, he goes out of his way to do the best he can and help other. That as a brother, as me, it makes me happy to see my brother do all of that. It makes me really, really happy. And I leash on his learning from you, and learning from him is like something I. It's kind of like a blessing, and you never know. Like it's like I'm the older brother. You never think like, oh, my younger brother's gonna teach me stuff that I don't know about. So now it's a whole new world right now. It's a whole new world for me. So
Man, hey,
I'm really glad that you are in his life.
man, I appreciate it, and don't get it misunderstood, man. My door is open. My hand is extended to you as well too. So if you have you have space where you want mentorship or you want insight or just somebody to latch onto or have conversations, whatever, dude, like I'm here. So don't think that it's just for Andy, man. I'm here for everybody to learn from. I'm here to learn from y'all. Things should be reciprocated, right? I am older. I can teach you things, but I'm also a student of life. So I understand that I don't know everything, and I've opened my mind to understand that there are things that I can be taught by people who are younger than me. So yeah, man, if you need insight, man, just hit me up. I'm here.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I turn into like a mini you, and like I swear, like when you turn in, like we were talking in the house, and I was just explaining to my brothers, like, look, I understand that having a house and going to the bank and all that stuff is awesome and cool, but look at this, think about it like this. Not a lot of people our age, think like this. I'm
They
just like
don't,
talk.
man. They don't. They don't. They don't. They really don't.
So I was talking to you when I was at the house, and it was like, yeah, I'm kind of weird, and you're like, nah, you're not weird, you're just different, and that's good.
Yeah,
And like, I'm so different from so many people, and like that's why it's so hard for me to make friends, because I can't carry a conversation that doesn't it doesn't bring value to me. I
right.
just can't. I really can't. So it's hard for me to make friends on that aspect. So the little bit of friends that I do have, we carry a good conversation, and it's fun and interesting.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, you have to keep in mind when the ones that don't fit in are typically the ones that lead. Like if you think about all of the weird people that's in America right now, that are iconic people, they have a huge following. And I'll give you an example. Kanye West. Kanye West is weird as shit, right? To most people who don't understand who Kanye West is, right?
Yeah.
But Kanye West is right now. Kanye West is a billionaire. He's a black billionaire in the United States of
Yeah.
America. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like you don't you have this internal battle within yourself to be like, well, maybe I should fit in so I can just have friends. And it's a whole fucking network of people that's like, fucking be weird so I can latch on to you. But we're scared to take that plunge. We're scared to take the jump
Yeah.
because we've been taught a certain way to do certain things. And it's like, go against the fucking grain, man. Like, be you. If you want to walk outside in pink panties, do this shit. You know what I mean? Like, just do it, man. It just, and it's a multitude of people who are waiting to be. And I'll give you this example. I'm assuming that everybody on this call has been to church, right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
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 Have you guys ever paid attention to the person that stands up to clap first and everyone else follows?
Yep.
Yeah.
Be the person that stands the fuck up. Everybody else will follow you.
Yep.
The preacher could be going off and like, doing this thing, and people will sit down and clap. But the minute one person stands up, everyone else follows.
Yeah.
That's how you have to execute through life, man. You have to be the person that's gonna be like, you know what? I'm gonna stand up. And I promise you, man, like there's a multitude of people just waiting. Like, I'm so glad he stood up because they're wanting to know that they were not in that space by themselves, but they're just scared. Right?
Yeah.
So just do it, man. Just try it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Great
I have
analogy. Yeah.
I have a question about that, like in a sense, because I feel like myself, I'm weird as well. But how do you handle like self-doubt in yourself? Because you want to execute most of the time certain ideas, but then you start doubting yourself. Is there like what's it called? Is there a factor that comes with that, or is it something you have to do within yourself?
Yeah. It's called fear, and I'm not an advocate of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not an advocate of fear, man. So you you to be in, if your thoughts and your goals scare you, that means you're on the right path. Like you should bask in that space, but you should also know that to get there, you're gonna have to do shit different than what you've been doing. Um, the fear of, it's natural. It's a natural thing, but we get so engulfed in that space, and that's what I was telling you. It's because we don't want to fail, right? We don't want to deal with the long nights and the losing the money and the trying to, not being able to figure it out. But it's a beauty on the other side of that. But you will not understand it until you actually take that leap off the cliff and actually open your wings. So once you do that, then on the way down, you'll have people motivating you or being in a space where mind you, this is when you attach yourself to the right group of people, when you have a support system under you, and you have people who are in a space of entrepreneurship or wherever you're trying to go that can say, hey, okay, once you leap, then I'll help you, I'll help guide you, but you have to take the leap by yourself. Like you can't do it no other way.
I also like most of the time you're somebody that I go to for advice, and your advice, you know what to say and
Mhm.
exactly what to say to, for me it's like, okay, I need advice on something. Like earlier you gave me advice and it was like, okay, that now I have like the steps to, okay, I need to do this next, test it out, see if it works, and you know exactly what to say. Is that because of just experience of like what you've been through, or just I don't know, knowledge
Uh,
from business or anything like that?
so the experience, I give things based off, yeah, I give things based off experience. Don't get me wrong, there have been situations where I've been in situations where I've committed to something and didn't know how to fuck I didn't know how the fuck I was gonna do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you hey Marshaun, can you do this? Yep, sure can. Don't know what the fuck I'm doing, but I'll figure it
I'll
out.
do
Until you make
I'll
it.
figure it out along the way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
However, when it's a place of mentorship, if someone comes to me and they're like, hey, do you know how to do X, Y, and Z? If I don't know, I will tell my mentee, hey, I don't know. Let me make a phone call. Let me figure it out and I'll call you back. So I never put people in a position where I mislead them in that space. However, me, I'll jump off the fucking bridge and be like, oh, does the parachute open? Like, I'm that person. You know what I mean?
We're about to find out.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I've done my checks and my cross and balances to make sure that things are supposed to work. However, when we take that leap, like things don't work as we plan them. But you have to be resilient in that space to accommodate change, right? To say, okay,
Mhm.
well, plan A didn't work, so we're going to work on plan G because the rest of the shit didn't work this time, and we'll figure out the rest of it as we go. Um, and that's what it takes. That's how, like, I was just giving an example of Kanye West. Like, dude, Kanye West started doing music, and like, who knew he would have a clothing line? Like, he sells
Yeah.
these ugly ass space shoes that make all this crazy ass money, and like, and
I'm so glad
I'm
you
not,
said it.
yeah, like he does, and he's doing well, and it's because he wants to be different. For me, I'm not that person that I couldn't do that, but it's just yeah, dude. I can't. I idolize that dude, man, because he is who he is without ridicule. Like he doesn't care about what other people think about who he is, but people
Good
look
morning,
up to him.
Kanye.
And yeah, dude, like people look up to him and look toward him for direction because he thinks outside of the box that's been created by social norms. You know what I mean? He's doing things
Yeah.
different. So yeah. Just be you, man. Like, and as far as like I said, with leadership and being able to answer a question, it comes from experience. Like entrepreneurship, I didn't have a mentor in that space, so I made a lot of mistakes, and because of that, that's the person that you want to take the advice from. Somebody who fucked up a lot, so they can tell you, hey, no, don't do that. Like
Yep.
you don't want to do you don't want to do that. You know what I mean? Like, and this is why you don't want to do it. I'm opposed to like the question that was posed earlier about the dude that's giving you a 1999 plan of instructions, and he sold you some ebook, and it's like, oh, thank you for your purchase, we'll see you on the other side. You never get to the fucking other side. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
yeah, it's way different, man. So take take your mentorship and your guidance from someone who has failed but is successful, not just someone who is pitching you a bunch of BS. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, man. Kanye West is his what he does is absolutely amazing. I can't take anything away from the dude, man.
He's a genius.
He's just he is, man. It's all embedded in him being different and going against the grain. You know what I mean? And it's crazy because people flock to controversy, and they will despise um, um, calmness, and they will despise or pull away from success. But you got some drama popping off. Watch how people gravitate. That's why
Yeah.
like fights are so big, man, because people like
Yep.
to see they like to see controversy.
Yeah.
And that's just so crazy. So once you can understand who you are as an individual, and you can uproot or change regimes or cause conflict, like people will flock to you, man. It's always been that way. I don't know why. And I don't understand the psychological part behind it, but that's just what we do as people. We flock to controversy, and we've always been that way.
You're like a magnet to drama. Every time there's drama anywhere, you're like, oh, what's going on here? Especially,
Absolutely,
especially,
absolutely.
especially when you're in that I-4 and there's a car crash, and on the other side, people are like,
Right,
what's going on? And they
right,
make
right,
traffic,
right,
and like, I'm just trying to get home. But when I'm
right,
passing by, I'm like, oh wait, what's going on?
It's not even your lane
right,
too. It's the other
right,
lane. It's like the
right.
other side of and they're just looking and slowing down. It's so
Yep.
annoying.
Oh man,
Hispanics. Like when I was working at a restaurant, and it's a Hispanic restaurant. It's a Cuban restaurant. So when something happened, somebody got fired, and then no, they both worked. My brother and
Chris.
Chris worked at that same restaurant, and like somebody would get fired, and literally all the other stores, because there we worked at the airport, and there was other stores in around the town. Everybody knew
Yeah.
like what was happening. They were so nosy. We call it chisme. Like everybody's so nosy of just trying to
That's
figure out what's
crazy, man.
happening. And
That's
it's just,
crazy.
Hispanics are insane. Like they want to know everything. They want to know just like the small details, and they just pass it on. That's
Yep.
what I feel like I can't hold. Like if you have a secret and you don't want it to come out, don't tell me. Let me be
Yep.
straight up.
Gotcha.
I talk. It's
Gotcha. Gotcha.
me and my mom too. Like me and my mom go like, I call her. It's like, what's going on? Tell me. And she's the same way. She's the same way. That's where I get it
I got
from.
you. I got you.
But
Oh,
going back into just your journey, I really want to know your reaction of when you figured out. And I know you probably like haven't made it yet, but like to put like not a standard, but how can I say this? I'm gonna just be straight up. Like when you made your first meal, like what was your reaction of like holy shit? Like
So
what was your reaction?
I didn't feel it until I did my year to date report at the end of the year, my fiscal year. Didn't know. I know I had, of course, made a buku amount of money, and I think I was telling you, I made that money here actually in Florida. I didn't make it in Michigan.
Wow.
Um, I had my first month doing credit repair where I cleared 17,500, and then I was like, that I mind you, I'm from the street, so I'm like, the feds coming, like they coming to kick my door in. Yeah, I'm nervous. I'm nervous as all shit, man, because like that type of money when you get it, it's not legal. You know what I mean? From
yeah,
where I'm from, you
yeah.
don't get that type of money legally. So uh, when I did, man, it was just like I'm on to something, and it scared my Kamal was with me when I was making all
Oh
this
my
money, and he was
God.
just like. I was going to Walmart with a pistol on my side because I was like, somebody go stick me up. Like I was scared as shit, I was scared because I was so used to the programming of Michigan and keeping that type of money on me. But at that time, I wasn't all the way functioning with payments as I am now with like e-checks and credit cards over the phone. So I would be in Walmart. There were times I was in Walmart probably 8 times in a day at the money center collecting money because somebody had either Western Union me or money grammed it to me or Walmart to Walmart and me money. And we're talking about $750 at a time.
Yeah.
And it scared the life out of me, bro. The life. And it was just like I couldn't figure out that was a moment for me where I understood how people are scared of success. Like people are literally they want it, but they will not do what it takes to get there, and they get a taste of it and they don't want it anymore.
Yeah.
Um, But for me, it just made me go harder. It did. It just made me go harder. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know.
that's insane.
I know
Yeah.
that what's it called? While I was learning a bunch of entrepreneurship, there's a bunch of story that is more of people are more afraid of success than failure, which
Yeah.
that really shocked me because like, why would you be scared of success? But then I thought about what's it called? Like you don't. What's that term called when you feel like you don't deserve it? I forgot what's the term called, but it's like something when you don't feel like you don't deserve that victory, you don't deserve that success, so you feel like say it, Dylan. I think you know it.
Imposter syndrome.
There you go. That like if you feel imposter syndrome, like wow, did I actually did this? And just learning about all of that, that people are actually scared of more scared of success than failure is just like mind blowing to me.
It is. It is. It comes with a huge responsibility that I'm still learning to attain and actually hold on to. So I definitely understand what you mean. I do.
And then, for what advice would you could give us for? So we're starting this podcast, and we're doing this for entertainment, and we just love just talking and getting to know people and knowing about their journey. But I want to be able to turn this into a business where we're all profiting from this, and if we could do something that we love and actually make a living off of this, what advice can you give us to get that started for us?
So everybody needs to find their niche and stay in that space and be great in the space that you're in. So if you have a editor, he needs to be the best at editing. If you have I don't know, a numbers guy, he needs to be the best at that. Like no one should be carrying more responsibility than the other. And everybody should be in a space where they are respectful of the person or of their partner. So everybody needs to, because it's for you guys, like you need to be in a space where you're figuring out how we can take things to the next level and get there as a whole. That drive from four people is absolutely insane. But that's what it is. It's figuring out your lane and then going. You guys have to keep this in the mind frame of like of the analogy of building a house. Like you don't see plumbers in the house before the carpenters get there, right? But the finish, the guys who are hanging a drywall can't do their job until the carpenters come in and they frame. You know what I mean? So it's a machine. So if you guys sit down and you say, hey, this is what I'm good at and this is what I can bring to the table, and you guys do that in the whole, once you guys do that and you can see the weaknesses that you all carry and hone in on those, but then allow the strengths to take place as you guys are working on the weaknesses, you guys will be successful no matter what. You know what I mean? So, and that's just what it is. Like it's a drive, but just make sure that you guys are still, the focus is building a fucking complete house. The house just has to be a beautiful house by the time you guys are done with it, right? So it can't be, one person is not doing something and the other three are carrying the weight because it'll never work.
I feel
Makes
like
sense.
yeah, I feel like it all fit into place when we were building up this podcast where is the editor and like I see that Dylan has such passion like editing the podcast and other projects he wants to do in the future. He has such good vision for the editing, and every time I see him editing, it's like, yo, I didn't think about that. He edited like well in. He edited some videos that we never thought about it, and I was like, yo, this is really really good. And then we have Chris, who's editing our TikTok, like our social media, and he's like, when I saw his first ever TikTok video, the way he edited, I was like, whoa, like
Yeah.
it's like amazing how everything's perfectly fitting in. And I'm for me, I'm trying to pick up more slack of it, where I do the thumbnail for YouTube. I'm now starting to do like the clips that we do for the podcast. It's like a balance in there, and then we have Andy, who's basically kind of like the analytic guy who like search up like everything that we need for the podcast, like good titles, like good things for the podcast, like the how many views are we getting, is there any retention, what's it called on the video, and overall. It came perfectly in where we're not having discussion. No, you should do this. No, you should do that. It came to a perfect standstill, like where we found a balance and we are enjoying what we do and we're not, what's it called, feeling stressed about it. and it just feels like really well that we have that balance in here.
That's awesome. I'm going to in this regard, I'm going to tell you guys something that you because it's for you, and this analogy works with a lot of things. This has worked with bands, meaning music, like a multitude of people in one place. It works with basketball teams or sports. If you think about it, it works with everything when you have multiple personalities and people in one place trying to achieve one common goal. You guys need to understand what internal strife is. Internal strife is when something tears itself apart from the inside out, right? The way that you get away from those things is having uncomfortable ass conversations with each other so you guys will not have to deal with that shit in the future.
Yeah.
So that is a jewel that I can give you. If you're like, hey, Andy, you fucked up. Andy, you need to be able to like, damn, like, okay, what the fuck did I do? And you have to be in a place where you are taking constructive criticism to actually understand what the person is saying, and it's done out of love and it's not done abrasive, right? It's out of love. It's like, hey, you could have did this shit better. You guys have to have that conversation because you guys do not want to present yourself anytime to anyone else or the public as weak. So when the cameras is off and the guest is gone, it's like, man, we fucked up. You know what I mean? Y'all gotta have that conversation and be like, how the fuck do we fix it? You guys have to have those conversations. It will stop. It will stop. You guys from tearing shit apart from the inside out. Like if you look at it with Draymond and like Golden State, like all these other teams, LeBron, like all of this shit, if you pay, it's because they cannot have the uncomfortable conversation and set a point of achievement together because one person is deviating or multiple people are deviating from the goal. The way that you do that is to have uncomfortable ass conversations and grow together as a whole. It will give you guys a different bond and brotherhood with each other because you guys will be getting this shit from the mud together and it won't feel like it's lopsided, like one person is doing more than the other person is, right? And that's how you get there. So when y'all gonna have them, but just make sure that you're willingly like, hey, you want to say some fucked up shit? Then, yeah, let's talk about it. You know what I mean? And just do it, man. And just do it. And at the end of it, just know that this person's coming to you out of love, and you have to be able to receive it in that space. And I promise you, you guys will be all right.
No, thank you. That it was much needed, and it's a great advice that we'll start to implement and actually have those uncomfortable, conversations because we know it's gonna get better. And I've said it, and I give credit to everybody on here because, and I tell this to my brother because he comes to me and he's like, "Damn, I don't know if I did this right, all this and that." I'm like, go back and look at the first episode. Then after you're done watching that, look at the current episode. There's so much improvement, and you don't give yourself credit. You don't. And I said this is not the best podcast right now, but I promise you, by the 50th or 100th episode, this is going to be one of the best podcasts ever.
Absolutely.
And you just got to continue and improve, and we've improved so much.
Absolutely. I'm proud of you guys, man. I'm here, man. I want to see you guys on billboards and radio shows and all that shit. And I'm here I'm rooting for you guys any way that I can help. I'm here to help you guys.
Yeah, man. Thank you so
much. Yeah,
no
doubt, man. No doubt.
What's it called? I have, like, for Andy was saying how I don't reward myself in a sense, or I self punish myself. That's a thing that I've been working on for such a long time because I feel like while I was growing up, I don't know if it's just a Hispanic family growing up thing, I always needed the approval of my action through my mom. So growing up, it's like hard to deviate from the approval of other, and I've been working that mad hard on that to not get the approval of someone else for my actions.
Gotcha.
So every time I do something, I'm like double checking myself. Do I need to ask Andy or do I need to ask my mom if I should be doing this? But then I'm like, I'm a grown ass adult. If I fail, I fail, and I'll learn from this.
Right, and that's the way that you do it, man. I'm glad that you're honing in on that weakness so you can push yourself to reach certain more heights and better heights because you know that that's something that you need to do. That's actually pretty dope, man. I commend you for that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
One thing that I want to get into, and I feel like it's so interesting to me, because I've never heard of it or seen it. And I remember when we were working on stuff. You came up to me and you explained that you're poly.
Mhm.
With your relationship. What exactly is poly, and how did everything start, and how do you introduce that to someone?
So okay, so I currently have two wives and I'm courting one, right?
Yeah.
Um, if you so let me kind of go back a little bit. Uh,
Yeah.
it, I'm not here to get anybody in any trouble. So if
Yeah.
you guys choose not to answer, please plead the fifth, right? I don't want to be destroying relationships or marriages. Like, oh fuck Marshaun, like nobody. So, like so for as long as we've known it, um, we follow natural nature, right?
Yeah.
If you think about any species on the face of the planet, you think about, and I'll give you the most iconic one. If you think about a lion, right? A lion, if you pay attention, he has multiple lioness, and the lioness are the ones who protect the cubs, right? But the
Mhm.
king of the jungle, which is the lion, is the one who actually goes to do what he needs to do, make the kills, make sure that he's feeding the pride, right? That's what he does. Um, by natural nature, now, and I want to be very clear about this. What I'm getting ready to say is my own studies. I'm not invoking this on anyone else. This is not to upset anyone in religious views who are listening to this podcast or anything of that nature. These are my own studies and my own findings within myself. So I want to be clear with that. By natural nature, men are not monogamous. We're not. We are not monogamous. We are meant to reproduce, to replicate, to build. Um, the if you've ever been in this space, and you guys do not have to answer. If you've ever been in this space where you've been with one person and you stepped out to be with another woman, and you in your mind you told yourself you were not supposed to do it, it's because you were programmed to feel that way. You were
Mhm.
programmed to be told that you're supposed to be with one woman, and that's cool if that's if what you so choose.
Mhm.
By natural nature, we are not meant to be monogamous, and we struggle with that. I know men on a day-to-day basis. You hear about it all the time. Men stepping out on wives, so on and so forth, and it could be people portraying to be happy on the outside, but on the inside, there's other things, and internal things that are going on. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The relationship itself came to me by my actual wife. My wife was the one who presented me with the lifestyle, and I told her no 3 times before I accepted the lifestyle.
Okay.
So Tam came to me. She said, um, the first time she came to me, she was really vague, and she was like, hey, babe." At this time, I was courting Tam. We were not together. We weren't in an official relationship with each other. She came to me and she said, "Hey, are you thinking about, like, do you want a woman?" And she's vague about it. And I'm like, yeah. And at this time, I'm thinking she's just saying that because she's like, she's trying to figure out if I have my intention. She's trying to figure out my intention with her. And I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, I want a girlfriend. I'm like, yeah. And she was like, okay, all right, cool. And she left it at that. But me on the other end, I'm like, why the fuck is she asking me this? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? And it's just
Yeah.
like, I don't understand why she asked me. And it messed with me for a minute. And then she kind of fell off of it, and then this had to be months down the line. We were at a restaurant in like the Orlando Eye area. It's a restaurant over there called Uncle Julio's, right?
Mhm.
Ooh.
And she asked me, she was like, "Hey, I have a question for you." And I'm like, "Okay." And that I mind you, I have a thing for Latin women, Puerto Rican women. Like I have a thing for them. Like I do.
Yep.
Like
Respect.
I
100% respect.
yeah
Who
yeah.
doesn't,
So
Crazy.
honestly?
so and don't get me wrong, like I love black women too. Like I love women. I'm not just gonna say, but just for me, like this,
Your
I get
preference.
a little tingle in my jingle when I see a fine right. When I
Yes.
see a fine Puerto
Well,
Rican woman, and that's just me. Like, and we were sitting out at the restaurant and we were eating, and I seen this absolutely amazing woman walk past me, And the woman was so bad that me and the other tables were with their dates. I don't know if they were wives or girlfriends, but they were looking at this woman too. But you could tell that the women were getting upset because of the men were looking. And as I'm watching a woman look past me, I'm looking at Tam and she's looking at me and I'm like, shit. And, you know, and she was like, she's laughing at me. She's like, no, no, no. She was like, no, 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 you're good. And I was like, man, I felt bad. And she was like, we were eating, and then she hit me with the, let's talk in the truck. I'm like, God damn it. You know what I mean? Like I done fucked up.
Oh no.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And we get in a truck, and on the way home, she was like, have you ever thought about being with another woman? And for me, I'm like, I'm not about to answer that shit. I'm like, absolutely not, baby. You're the only one. Right. You're the only
It's a trap.
You're the only one for me, and all this other shit. Because I was programmed to believe that that's what the answer was supposed to be given. And me and Tam, that I mind you, Tam is absolutely my best friend. Like there's nothing that Tam doesn't know about me. And I'm gonna be 100% with you guys. Like she knows, most men are hoes. I'm sorry, it is what it is. Tam knows me in all my whole moments. Like she know all my whole history. So I don't have to keep anything from her. So with that being said, she was like, have you ever thought about being with another woman? And at this time, we hadn't reached that part yet. So I was like, no, I'm only focused on you. And she was like, are you, like, you've never thought about being with another woman? I'm like, no, absolutely not. No, and I'm lying, right? And she was like, so you wouldn't consider having another girlfriend? And I was like, hell no. Not that I mind you, if you guys have not experienced it, most women tell you this: always be honest with me and tell me the truth, and we can just deal with it. And then when you tell them, they blow a fucking fuse. You motherfucker, you know what I mean? You ain't shit, blah, blah, blah. I knew it. It's like, but you told me to tell you the truth. And I'm the worst person on the fucking planet because you wanted to know how I felt. So I was programmed that way. I've done that with multiple women. Like they play that role. So because I know that, it embedded something in me to just be like, just kind of pull back, don't tell her. So and that's what I did. I was like, no, I've never thought about being another woman. You're the only woman for me. I don't need anybody else, right?
Yeah.
And she was like, you sure you don't want to be with nobody else? I'm like, no. So shortly after that, man, she was like, she came to me and she was like, before you say no, just hear me out. Would you consider having another wife? And I'm like, well, why? And she was like, Marshaun, all of the stuff that you're doing, where we're going, she's like, I'm gonna need some fucking help. I'm like, what you mean? She was like, you ever thought about being polygamous? And I'm like, no, I have not. And she was like, but you should research it. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I'm a person that I dig. I research. I understand things at great detail. When I start looking at this lifestyle is very prominent in Africa. That's why there's so many multi-million-dollar families in Africa, right? There are men who have 3 and 4 wives in Africa that are millionaires because of the lifestyle. The name or the saying, it takes a village, right? So with what we're doing, and I'll kind of give you guys a little bit of our relationship construct based on how we're doing things over here. My wife, Kenyatta, has a clothing line. She also helps with Dunigan Investment Group. My wife, Tamara, has Inhale, which is it's a health and beauty line, and she also is a chef, but she also helps with Dunigan Investment Group. Nice. I have Dunigan Investment Group. We all have ownership in Dunigan Logistics, which is my trucking company, and we all have ownership in the ATM businesses. And then the one that I'm courting is actually a truck driver. So you see how that all makes sense?
Yeah.
So we have one household, multiple incomes. Like there is no lying, there is no cheating, there's no bullshit. Like we're transparent with each other. We're a support system for everybody. So if you think about it, my immediate circle is a circle of people walking around with 700 plus points in credit score. So if anyone needs anything, no one can tell us no. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But see, the crazy part is we're so programmed against polygamy in that type of construct. But I'm gonna show you this. being in relationships right now as we speak, we all know that being a side piece, whether it being male or female, is a staple in relationships in our culture right now. It's highly accepted, right?
Yeah.
So you got a home, Andy's got a chick and his main chick, right? When his main chick is not around, Andy, and I'm not saying this is true, whoever's listening, but but if
Yo, Eddie, what's up?
if Andy has a side chick, right?
Yeah.
When a side chick comes around, she's talking to y'all like, "Hey, bro, right?
Yeah.
This is what's happening in relationships." Now, whether the either if Andy doesn't tell the side chick that he has a main, or that he's not telling the man that he has a side chick, that's a poly situation right there. The communication is just fucked up, right?
Yeah.
And that's what we do. And it's no different than a man accepting the fact that a chick has a boyfriend, but he wants to spend time with her when she can spend time with him. It's no different. But the minute you tell people, oh, I'm with both of these women and they know about each other, then I'm the fucking stupid one. It's like, make that shit make sense.
Yeah.
Because it's no structure. One has structure and one doesn't. So you will be cool with me lying to the side piece and misleading her and telling her, oh, whatever. Like, yeah, I hook up with her whenever I got the chance.
Yeah.
And like that's accepted. But the minute you tell people, no, I got 2 or 3 wives and we build it, they're like, nigga, you crazy. And it's like, no, I'm not. Like, you crazy.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense now. Like, and it also goes to like people don't the way people think is ridiculous. Like if you're cheating on somebody and it's just like that's right, but if there's communication and there's an understanding of the two women know each other, they have a good relationship because I've seen that as well. I met both of them and they have like an amazing friendship,
They do.
and you guys all get along and like that. It doesn't. A lot of people don't process that, but they can process if somebody has a side piece that the other what like they don't know each other and stuff like that, and they keep it hidden.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah. And
it's awesome.
that is it's such an amazing thing with me, man. And it's just believe it or not, that type of lifestyle is growing rapidly in the United States. Women are tired of being lied to. It breaks the single parent home
Yeah. Wow.
culture that's happening right now. There's so many benefits um, to the lifestyle, as long as it's done right. Right, the communication has to be there. And don't get me wrong, like there are things that I deal with. There jealousy does take place. It's a lot of talking. It's a lot of communication. It's a lot of reassurance. But that wouldn't be anything different than you having to deal with someone in a monogamous situation, right?
Yeah.
Um, so it's no different. And it's I actually hate that I waited so long to actually do it. To be honest, I hate that I waited because it's such a beautiful thing because you can be who you are. And you don't have to lie. You don't have to lie to
Yeah.
yourself. You don't have to lie to anybody else. Like it's a very beautiful situation. Like it is. And
Wow.
I hate that I waited so long. The kids took to it. They understand it because kids are way more advanced than we were when we were younger. Kids understand it because they're watching their little I guess kid friends or whatever go through Timmy jumping up and down or humping on Barbie and Susie. He's kissing Susie around the
Yeah.
corner like, and he's like, oh, he's cheating. Like, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
when you tell the kids like this is why we're doing it and what we're doing, like when I told the kids, they was like, I get it, I understand. So
Wow. Yeah.
it's just I understand that it's not for everybody, so I don't invoke that on everybody. When I'm engaged and I talk about it, I talk about it. When I'm in public, I intentionally fuck with people. Both of my wives that both have rings on their fingers. There's no hierarchy. Not one is not treated better than the other one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just like it works, man. It takes away the lying and the cheating and the all the way down to like you protecting your home and your pride, and all the way down to the sexual thing too. Like you're not stepping outside of the house. All these things take part into building legacy. As long as it's done right. Yep.
So I have a few things. One, I obviously like I'm not trying to like challenge you or anything. Like I
Absolutely.
respect like what you do. But and tell me if this is like too personal or anything too.
No,
Um,
talk to me.
but so if it were like me, like
Mhm.
if I were like one of the women, I feel like that would be like extremely, and like I don't understand how it all works, but I feel like for me it would be extremely like stressful,
Mm.
with like the whole like jealousy thing, like so you haven't seen like too much like of that, where which you said there was like a little bit, but you haven't seen like too much. It's not like that much stress for you. Um,
Um, to answer that question, the jealousy part is very prominent in any relationship.
that's true.
It's highly prominent in a poly situation because both, well, in this situation, I'm not dealing with two women who are programmed to be monogamous. My wife, Tamara, is the one who presented me with the lifestyle. So she was receptive of what it would take and what it would be. And she was very realistic to know that someone else would be present in this space with her. By programming, women are naturally, they're programmed to be in a monogamous setting, and just as well as we are programmed to be in a monogamous situation, no matter how much our natural part of us tells us that we should be doing or we're attracted to do something else, right? So when those points come up, if you're in a monogamous situation and you're out with your girl, there's a multitude of things that you can't do. You can't talk to females. You better not look at her. That bitch shouldn't text you. Like these are all the things that women tell
Yeah.
us that we should not do. So the jealousy is very prominent in the space if you're in a monogamous situation. So the fact that you give them the opportunity to choose and you do not mislead them, believe it or not, opens the door for them to be more receptive to you and your leadership because you're not lying to people.
Wow. Yeah,
That you
that's
give them the choice to say, you know what, I will accept, or I will try it, or I will deal with this because this is a choice that I'm making, rather than you just inadvertently putting them in a position and then hoping that they don't find out about it sometime in the future, which in essence we all know that it happens, right?
Yeah.
So when you tell them, hey, this is I'm polygamous and this is what I'm doing, and then you say I have two wives, this is what we're doing, we're building over here, and we have multiple LLCs, we have multiple streams of income, and this is what's going on. Um, Older women are more inclined to be receptive of that space because they've been lied to, they've been cheated on, they've been through a divorce, like whatever it is, like they have the option to choose, and that lessens the blow of stress because they've chosen to do it, opposed to you invoking it on them and making them deal with it.
Yeah.
That makes sense. And then I have another question, and I want to be as sensitive as I possibly can with this one.
Please do not be
Um,
sensitive with me. Let's talk. Let's talk about all the shit. Let's talk.
Yeah, go.
Let's
is there like a limit? Like, is there like
so
a limit to how many wives?
so my Tamara is like I could have 20. Kenyatta, however, she was like, oh no, this one that you courting is enough. So as it
Okay.
stands, there has to be a compromise and an understanding. So it will be at the end of it, I will have three wives total.
Okay.
That's
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
Interesting.
What they call when it comes to relationships, like I know even if it's I don't know the terms, but like when it comes to any relationship, is the number one key is communication or is it something else?
It's always communication. However, we do not do that. We communicate with a filter. We often tell our partners things that we want them to hear, even though it may not be as abrasive or as direct as we want it to be because we're so programmed to be in a space to give a person what they're looking for and not hurt their feelings. And that is a bad way to do things because there is a beauty. It's a beauty in the point of understanding a person at pure transparency, where you don't have to guess. When you leave a person in conversation, you never want to be like, "Man, I wonder if." When you start doing that, I wonder if like it's a problem, right?
Yeah.
So when you're transparent, you can say, "Hey, let's sit down and talk, and let's." As I was just telling you guys, let's talk about all the fucked up shit. Like, let's have that conversation because if you don't have the uncomfortable conversation, and you keep sweeping shit up under the rug, after so long, you trip over the rug that you keep sweeping shit up under. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So let's pull the rug back. Let's talk about this shit. Why you do this? You know what I mean? Like I need to understand you in that space. And because relationships and sex has become so readily available, it just that within itself lessens the point of communication or the need or want to talk, because we're looking for something. And we're right now, relationships, I see it's temporary fulfillment, and sex is readily available because we are loving individuals and we want to feel a connection, but we don't want to commit because of all the shit that it entails when it comes to a relationship right now.
True.
How do you manage the relationship with your business? Does it help that they are involved in Dunigan Investment Group? Or just I know you go from from Florida to Michigan. Like how do you manage that, and how do you manage the relationship, and what do they think of everything?
It's a beautiful thing. Like for instance, right now I'm getting ready to go to Michigan on the second, and Tam is going with me, but Kenyatta will be here. So imagine you having a wife learning the business for the what we're doing with the party buses and the gaming trailers,
Hmm.
and she's learning that information while Kenyatta, which is my wife, is here preparing our son Ben for school. Like, and that's what I'm talking about. Like, there's a
Wow. Yeah.
structure, you know what I mean? But at the same time, when we come back home from from Michigan to Florida, like now Tam gets to brief Kenyatta on what needs to happen. And so now they can start going out and getting supplies for the business we're going to open here. Like, that's what we're doing. We're building. We're not just talking. You know what I
Wow.
mean?
Okay. There's a
Yeah.
balance.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And like if while Kenyatta's here, like she's here preparing credit repair letters and she's answering phone calls while we're working in Michigan. Like she's running the business, so she can pick up where we can't. That's what it is, man. Yeah, that's
Wow.
what it is.
That's beautiful. That's
Yep.
That's
beautiful.
awesome. That's awesome. I want to I want to ask like something like it's straight out of nowhere. What is the wildest thing that has ever happened in your life that you can think about right now?
And like just anything.
Anything you can say, any wild story you have in your mind, because it's like you have like based on how the way you talk and carry yourself, it feels like you have so many like crazy things that happen to your life that you can like right now laugh about it.
The craziest thing that are you guys in? I'm assuming you guys are into like music. Everybody into like rap or hip hop or R&B, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so at one point in my life, and I have a studio inside of my house. Andy will tell you. At one point in my life, I was signed to Yellow City and Bad Boy as a producer, right? And that was one of the craziest moments in my life because that was the first time that I got a chance to meet Sean Puffy Combs and Little Kim and the whole Junior Mafia crew. So that was like a very iconic moment for me. Yep, yep, it
Hey.
was. It was.
Wow.
Yo, that's crazy.
Yep, yep, yep. And I did that thing for 4 years, man. I traveled, um, and it was a very beautiful thing. Built relationships with people. I was down here actually, but I was in Miami a lot. And traveled, man, and just did music and just lived, man. And it was a beautiful thing. And it's crazy because the me doing this, the gaming trailer and the buses is going to put me relatively close to that type of lifestyle because we're going to be stretching from Orlando to Miami. So
Oh,
we'll be
nice.
dealing with just high end people who are wanting to party and celebrate. So yeah, it's gonna be a great experience, man.
Wow. So
Yeah.
many. I can't wait, especially what you have told me in the conversations we had. It,
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's
I'm
it's
telling you.
it's it's absolutely insane. So I'll kind of wrap you guys around this and why I'm so motivated. So, one of my brothers told me about this business, and initially I was going to just buy a actual a gaming trailer because I was going to come down. I was going to bring it down here and rent it because um, people are who own the actual trailer, like they're paying a little amount of money for it, but they're making like $3,000 to $4,000 a weekend renting these trailers out, right? And the trailer itself, it's a business, right?
Yeah.
So when I initially contacted him, he told me like the numbers that they were doing in Michigan. I'm like, dude, down here in Florida, we would make a killing because it's a tourist spot for one. And it's a retirement state for two, which means that people are here like they have money to spend here, and the market there is null and void, like no one's doing it. So
True.
you're literally ahead of a curve, right? So when I sat down and did it, and thought about the numbers, I was like, I'm gonna just go ahead and buy a trailer. So I flew I flew up to Michigan, and I flew up to Michigan and looked at the trailer and everything, and we got to talking, and he was just like, I was like, man, why won't what would it take to learn how to build one of these? And he was like, I just teach you. I'm
Yeah.
like, huh?
Why?
It was me getting me back the things that I do with other people, right? So I was like, oh, for real? He's like, yeah, just make time, just come up here and just learn, man. So I sat down with him, and we were headed to Walmart to pick up some TVs for a trailer we were building. And he just sat down, and I was like, so tell me about the business like in detail, because I'm a numbers guy. He was like, dude, I cleared 1.2 million in 9 months.
Wow.
Oh,
My nipples got hard, man. You know what I mean? And I'm like,
Oh my god.
so he cleared 1.2, we cleared 1.2 in 9 months, and then this year from January, because he started late of last year, so he started in March. So that 9 month stretch. This year from January all the way to July, he's up 765,000. And it's not the money. The money, of course, it helps, but
yeah.
like this is the shit that I'm doing where I can employ kids. I can take people off the street. Like I can pay a kid $35 an hour to pull up to a house. Who wouldn't do that?
Yeah.
So that's my thing. It's like, oh, and what I mean, I can impact people. Like I can go take a picture with 15 kids and they can have the best fucking birthday of their life all while I'm making money. Like, and it's that. You know what I mean? That puts me in a position for my kids to have legacy. You know what I mean? And that's what motivates me to keep going. So yeah, man, that's why I latched onto it the way that I am. I'm flying back and forth to Michigan like crazy because I'm so motivated to do this and bring it down here so we can just impact people, man, and just make money and live and stay out the way, man. You know what I mean? Build property and grab land, man, and just live, man. I want my circle of people around me to be those people, where I should be able to say, "Hey, Andy, man, I need the whole 15,000," and he done sent me 30. That we should
Yeah.
be doing shit like that with each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what it should be, man.
I feel really like happy to know that whatever you do in life, like whatever you're doing right now with life and like your businesses, you always have the intention to help either your circle or as well help people around you. And then when you talk to other business people, well, we don't get the chance to talk to many business people, but when you hear story of other people talking about business and stuff like that, they don't talk too much on the aspect of helping other, and it's all about, okay, we have this product, we're just going to ship it out in a sense.
Right, 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 right,
So,
right.
so just hearing that part of your intention and why you're excited for this, it's the intention of you gonna help other people. And while you're helping other people, yeah, the money will come, and the money is not as important because you know it will come. It's just the impact you're gonna have on people. That
Right, right.
that I feel really, really happy about it and excited
Yeah.
about it.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
That that mindset rubs off on me because like for me it's just like uh, for me, and I've always said it, I don't care about money, but I love money because of what I could do.
Right, right.
I don't care about money, but the learning part of everything and then being able to share it, like with everything that you teach me and the opportunities that you're giving me, I share it with my brother because I want to help him and be next to me or even be ahead of me,
Mm.
and just to share that knowledge and just to see someone's excitement and to see someone, you're able to change someone's life. That's what I intend to do with my life. I love seeing that. I love seeing the joy of someone of just emotion, all emotions, just them going crazy. Like, wow, this is
Yeah,
amazing.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely, man,
I love that.
absolutely. Yeah, man. Yeah, that really keeps me excited, dude. I can't get enough of helping other people, man, and just seeing people smile because of something I did like that. That just it helps me so much. It does because I'm from a place where we didn't have that. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
to be able to be the person solely responsible for changing someone's life for the better, man, is always something that will keep me going. Yep.
Yeah. And I want to share a story before we end it all here. Like this week, I had a so this is a couple who they go to my parents' church, and they also have a business that they do a car wash, and or they do detailing as well, and they came to my house, and they cleaned my car, and they only charged me $40, and my car is a whole mess. Like I haven't cleaned it in
All
like a
right.
year, and like they came and they cleaned it. Like it looks like I bought the car brand new,
Mm,
and like they only charged me $40. And after they tell me, okay, this is the Zelle to pay, I paid them $100, and like I want to keep doing that. Like, and they were so grateful, and they were like shocked. I'm like, oh my god, like thank you so much. You didn't have to, and they started offering me like, oh, we have to come back and we have these products to clean your seats, very well and stuff like that, and we won't even charge you. And they're starting to giving me free stuff, and I'm like, no, 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 no. If I need that, I'll pay for it. I just you guys are I'm so grateful for you guys. Thank you so much for what you guys done. Your work that you did to my car does not it's not $40. It's
right.
way more than that.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's hot. You guys came out and started doing this for me, and I appreciate it. And just the reaction made my whole day.
That's
And
what's
it
up,
was just
man.
awesome. And just little things. It's like when you hang out with somebody, you start to pick up little habits of what the little habits. And every time I leave your house, I become a better person every time, and it's just amazing.
I appreciate that. If you don't leave excited or inspired, or if I haven't changed your thought process, or I've given you a vision, man, I feel like I've failed you. So as far as it goes with everyone that I speak to, if I've gotten the opportunity to for them to listen, which means that I'm actually taking time from a person, I want to make sure that I'm very intentional with what I'm
Mm.
doing to help someone in that space. So I'm very understanding of the value of time because you cannot replace it. So I want to make sure when someone, turns on a TV or they make a phone call, they shoot me a text, that they leave with something. You know what I mean? So um,
Yeah,
yeah, it's very important to me.
you're doing a great job, by the way.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
But yeah,
I appreciate it.
I appreciate you coming on to the podcast. It means so much. Hopefully everybody on here
Yeah.
left with something, just any motivation, advice, or information that they could later on use for good. And just thank you for coming on the podcast. I appreciate it.
Man, no problem at all. I appreciate you guys even thinking about me to do the podcast. I'm here to do anything else that you guys need, or talk about anything on subjects. If you guys need me in the future, or whatever the case may be, I'm here to help. Um, I wish you guys all the best with the podcast, man, and I'm here to support you guys 100%.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
just also wanna I'll put your email, your website for credit. So if anybody needs credit repairing or need a way to contact you, I'll put that in the description. So you guys can go ahead and reach out. And
Mm.
we have Marshaun or me that would help you if you need any help with credit or any other thing like that.
Yeah, man. Yeah, please do. And give the information, and if you guys need any help with anything as far as financial literacy in that regard too, we can do a whole nother podcast for that as well too. So
Yeah.
let me know.
Thank you
Perfect.
so much.
No problem.
Yeah.
No problem.